Assalamu alaikum everyone, sorry for the delay. Without any further ado, I would like you to help me invite Hajj Kauthar to the podium to start with his speech with Salat ala Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيد الأولين والآخرين والشفيع المذنبين ورحمة للعالمين أبو القاسم محمد وعلى أهل بيت الطيبين الطاهرين واللعنة أعدائهم أجمعين إلى يوم الدين. In the name of Allah, the most compassionate, the most merciful, all praise is due to Him. May peace and blessings be upon His Prophet, the seal of all messengers, and may peace and blessings be upon His pure and immaculate family. Please recite a salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Thank you. The topic of my speech tonight will be, I want to continue on this theme that we had from last week, and this is how do we know God? And the Quran and Hadith approach this topic in a very particular type of way. Like, how is it that we know God? Now, we live in a secular society. That means a society that sometimes doesn't acknowledge God, but sometimes deliberately tries to, not just doesn't acknowledge Him, but tries to sometimes distance away from Him. Okay, and there's a difference. Somebody who just doesn't acknowledge something, it's somebody who just says, okay, I'll leave it alone and I'll do my thing. But sometimes in our society, it's not only that I'll leave God alone, but there's an antagonism towards God. There's almost an anger towards God. And there's almost a deliberate separation away from God. Okay? So this is something that is an important topic. And as we enter the month of Shahrul Ramadan, it's very interesting because the month of Ramadan is a very beautiful month where we're told that we are the guests of God. Right? And we come as His guests. And it's interesting when you approach this month as the approach of this month as a guest, when we think about it, is we're going to meet the host. There's something that's going to happen when we meet the host. And there is an anticipation, and that host is going to host us in these particular dishes and these particular things in order that when we go meet them, we become closer to them, right? It's kind of like that, it's really interesting. When people invite you to their house, you get this invitation, and it's the first invitation, okay? It's really interesting how our human psychology works. It's that first invitation. Someone says, you get a call, it's usually the sisters that get the call or the wives that get the call, and then it's somebody's invited you to their house. And then you say, oh, this person has never invited me to their house. That's interesting. The first thing you think in your mind is, You don't think, oh, what do they want? You usually think, oh, wow, they noticed me. They thought I was important. They could have invited anybody in the community, but they thought I was important. So this is usually the first thought that we think, oh, that's interesting. You might not even be particularly close to that person or that family. But the thought you have in your mind is, oh, that person, I see them at the masjid, I see them here, there, but they invited me. They must have noticed me. I barely talk to them in the masjid. I barely talk to them outside. But they noticed me. And so what travels in our mind is, oh, I don't know them that much, but should I go? Should I not go? Should I go? Should I go? What do I have going on? Now, when we talk about being the guest of God, the guest is what? Does anybody know what guest is in Arabic? Layf. Very good. Layf. So layf comes from the same root in Arabic as, I've mentioned this before, as the grammatical term, for those of you who know Arabic grammar, idafa. Idafa. Yes. To add to something. You know idafa, if you remember in grade school. Okay, idafa is when you do what? When you do what? When you extra, but you do what with that extra thing? You add it. No, not you don't just add it, but you do what with it? You join it. Okay? So in the Arabic language, a guest comes from the same root as idafa. Idafa means to join something together. Okay? If I say the words Babul Bayt, that's idafa. That is the door of the house, right? I'm joining the door and the house together. Okay? When you say that you're the guest of God, it has this connotation that I'm coming as the guest of God to do what? To join with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, Shahrul Ramadan, this month of Ramadan, is not just a month where we come and we perform the ritual of coming to God's house and connecting with God, but it's to come to one's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's house and to join with Him. Okay? Now the banquet is big. The banquet is endless. We come to this house and the banquet, there is not a few dishes, right? And Shahr Ramadan is very interesting. You go to someone's house and there's all these dishes and you eat, and the banquet of God is infinite, meaning that everything that's here is a means to join with Him, to get close to Him, to develop your relationship with Him. Every ayah of Quran, every dua, every supplication, every reflection. And according to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. But according to the Prophet, peace be upon him, he says that not only that your very existence becomes a blessing to God. You become His guest. Your existence. What does he say? He says if you fast, that's something that you become a guest of God. But not only if you fast, if you breathe, each breath, while you're fasting, you become a guest of God. You don't need to do anything. Your sleep, you become a guest of God. So in this month, we come and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, You know, I know tonight is Thursday night, and then there's Friday and Saturday, and people get all these invitations, and people go all these different places. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, no, I'm not going to give you a Saturday invitation. I'm not going to give you a Monday invitation. I'm going to give you a 30-day invitation. And within those 30-day invitation, I'm going to give you a special invitation. You're going to be my guest all night. And you're going to feast. And that feast is with every breath, with every step, with everything you do, I'm going to give you the opportunity to get closer to me. Now, one of the things that we do on Laylatul Qadr, which is a little bit of a tragedy, is we come to Laylatul Qadr and we go through the Mafatih al-Jinan, and it's got like, on the night of Qadr, it's got like, 10, 15 pages, and we're like, okay, we have to hit this. And then we just speed through the whole thing. Okay, we do the 4 surahs that are recommended. We do Dua Joshin, we do Dua Abu Hamza Thumali, we do all Dua Tawbah. There's so many of these supplications we do. But in that night, God is saying, slow down. You're just coming to the feast, and it's like, imagine if you invite someone to your house, and you had this buffet, and you put all this food out. You had some guy who knocked on the door. You opened the door, and he said, oh, I'm coming in. And he started grabbing and doing this, okay, and just spilling it all over him. Okay? You would, why? Sabr, just calm down. Take the food and enjoy it. I know some of us are hungry. We like to do that. But don't do that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, take it slow. Just take one sentence of the supplication and reflect on me. This is how you approach me. So the month of Shahr Ramadan is that journey to meet God. I'm going to talk about, I have only like 10, 15 minutes left, but I want to talk about that journey to meet God. How does the Quran express this to us? How does the Hadith express this to us? That we want to get to God. Now, I said last time that one of the reasons for fasting is that when we fast, we're denying the body. We're denying the pleasures of the body, all the pleasures of the body. Because fasting is not just about denying ourselves food. When we deny ourselves food and water, we also deny ourselves energy. Okay? And that denial of energy keeps us from doing many, many other things, useless things. Keeps us away from lahu and la'ib. It keeps us away from all of those things, hopefully. Okay, so we don't get close to those things. We're too tired to get close to that. This is a mercy from God. A lot of times we think, oh my God, I'm fasting. I'm so tired, I get so exhausted. And Shahr Ramadan, this is a mercy from God. If God, just imagine this. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us, that we didn't need to eat, we could just fast and we wouldn't get tired, what we would do is we wouldn't get tired, but then we'd have full energy, and then we just go and waste our time doing everything else. Okay, so Allah doesn't want us to do this. The tiredness is deliberate. The tiredness is good. It's uncomfortable, but it's good. So in our approach to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, something to recognize is that it's not necessary that it's just going to be a comfortable process. Religion is not always a comfortable process. It's important to recognize that discomfort. This is a little bit uncomfortable for me. Okay, because at the end of this is my meeting with God. Okay? Now, one of the things I said is that when we deny the body, the heart awakens. And so in order for the heart to awaken, the body has to be denied. Now, when we look in Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Ya ayyuhal insanu innaka kadihun illa rabbaka kadhan famulaqi. That, O human being, O insan, you are struggling towards your Lord. Okay, so we struggle towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala constantly, consistently. And we consistently have these bumps and these roadblocks and these things we're facing, right? Whether it's hunger, whether it's in life. The Shahr Ramadan is meant to teach us, one of the lessons in Shahr Ramadan, it's meant to teach us to stop and observe pain. Sometimes we take it the other way. We take it that, oh, Shahr Ramadan is really difficult. Yes, because sometimes the only way that we can see God is through pain. Sometimes you cannot see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without pain. I'm not saying always. I don't want somebody to come away from this and say, oh, I went to the masjid and they told me that I have to have pain, otherwise I can't get religion. I'm not saying that. I promise you I'm not saying that. I have to qualify this. What I'm saying is that pain brings about something beautiful. And we see this sign everywhere. We see this everywhere in our life. Every single thing in our life, everything that's worthy in our life requires some level of difficulty. There's nothing in life that's worth anything that does not require us to actually struggle for it. Nothing. Whether you struggle for your degree, whether you struggle for your job, whether you struggle for your child, whether you struggle for your marriage, whether you struggle in loneliness, whether you struggle with somebody. But in order to get somewhere, we have to do that struggle. That becomes very important for us. Now, this begins with this awareness that, because sometimes this ayah of Quran is telling us that we're struggling towards God. Most of the time in life, we believe that we're wandering. That, what am I doing here? Why am I here? I'm bored. Whether we're bored in life, we're bored in the masjid, we're bored somewhere where people are always saying this, I'm lost religiously. I don't know where I'm going. I feel alone. So this ayah is meant to tell us that we're not lost, that life is that movement toward an encounter. Okay, so this is the very important thing, that every step we're taking towards forward is a movement towards an encounter, a meeting. This is what we're moving towards. Every day in Shahr Ramadan, every day in our life, every hour, every minute, we're moving towards an encounter. Now, the first place we start is we start with this desire to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the first step. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about this. He mentions this. He mentions this in Surah Ankabut. He says that whoever hopes for the meeting of Allah, that time will come. So the first step towards approaching and getting close to Allah is having this desire, this yearning that I'm going to meet God. So when we approach the month of Ramadan, we approach it with an idea, sometimes a very mechanical and ritualistic idea that I have to fast, this is the time I have to wake up, this is the time I have to break my fast, this is my schedule. Those things are all important, but those are the very basics. Those are the things to set us up for the things that we need to do to have that meeting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, so the fasting is the setup. It's not the goal. The dua is the setup. It's not the goal. The recitation of Quran is the setup. It's not the goal. What is the goal is to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, how do we set that up? That yearning that we have to meet Him. Now, this is a very difficult thing because sometimes we feel completely empty inside. We don't feel any yearning at all. Okay? Sometimes we can even feel a deep spiritual void. It can be our problems, it can be our issues, it can be anything like that. Or sometimes we just feel dead inside. Okay? Even in the month of Ramadan, if you can get one thing from this month, go for something deeper than I did the 30 days, I did the ritual, I did Laylatul Qadr, I did that, I made it. Right? It's funny because my kids always ask this, okay, which day of the month of Ramadan are we on? It's like, okay, well, there's got to be an end to this, right? And when we're young, that's how we think too. But if we get one thing from this month, it is this yearning to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This desire to encounter Him. This desire for the heart to feel Him. Now, this is interesting because this yearning also happens throughout our entire life. This is why we have a hadith that at the moment of death, there will be people that love this dunya so much. They love it so much that death will seem like something, like they are being extracted from the world. Like somebody is pulling them away from this dunya. And that's why it's painful. It's like when someone extracts a tooth or when someone extracts something that's painful or takes something away from us forcefully. It's very painful. So if we don't have this yearning year after year after year after year after year, the heart is growing entrenched deeper and deeper and deeper into this world. So at the moment of death, we have no yearning. And what happens is when the angel of death comes, what does the angel of death do? The angel of death doesn't come and just say, come on, let's go. The angel of death actually comes very kindly, very gently, and says, come on. I'll take permission. But it's just basic permission. I'm just trying to be nice. This happened with Prophet Sulaiman alayhi salam, right? Remember the story of the angel of death comes to Prophet Sulaiman. Prophet Sulaiman says, who are you? I'm the angel of death. What have you come to do? I've come to take your soul. What if I say no? The angel of death had to explain, I'm just being nice here. This is just a formality. You're going. So Prophet Sulaiman said, okay. Now, if that moment, if that person approaches life with this yearning for God, this awareness for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when they get to their death, the angel of death comes. And the angel of death says, I want to take your soul. And that person says, oh my God, I've been yearning for God for all my life. I've found peace in God. My heart, my inner heart, has felt this yearning for Him my whole life. And now at this moment, you're coming and you're giving me permission to go to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we go. Now, remember the hadith of the Imam Ali alayhi salam says that for those who have wilayat, I will be there at the time of death, at the time of barzakh, and at the time of your judgment. So that love, when we say wilayat also means that joining of two things together. Okay? That love and joining of two things together. the reason why we have this wilayat of Imam Ali alayhi salam is because at the end of our life, this transition also is easier into barzakh. When we see that thing, in this dunya, we have nothing to hold on to. We have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to hold on to. Yes, that's true, we have faith in Him. But the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, if you want to love God, then go through me. So why go through the Prophet? When we do these salawat over and over and over again, when we renew our wilayat with Imam Ali over and over and over again, day after day after day after day, the heart becomes soft. The heart starts to develop that love. Then at the moment of death, the angel of death comes and says, give me your soul. We still get that little bit of terror. There's still that terror, right? Because that transition is about to take place. But then who comes? The one who comes is the one who you loved your whole life. The one who you pronounced peace on your whole life. The one who you attached yourself to and praised your whole life. And that's Imam Ali alayhi salam. And he comes. And Imam Ali alayhi salam, when the angel of death comes, and he comes, the angel of death becomes very meek. And we become very calm. And we transition into that meeting of God. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So I'll say one last thing and we'll end. There is a sentence in one of the supplications of Imam Sajjad alayhi salam. What if we just don't have it? What if we just don't feel that yearning? What if I just say, come to the masjid, they say, you know, Shahr Ramadan, no Shahr Ramadan, masjid, no masjid, Quran, no Quran, whatever it is, I just can't get it. I just don't have it in my heart. I just don't feel it. There is this interesting sentence in one of the supplications of Imam Sajjad. He says, وَاجْعَلْ خَيْرَ أَيَامِ يَوْمَ الْقَاكَ فِيهِ. He says, may the best of my days be the day that I meet you. May the best of my days be the day that I meet you. So what is Imam Sajjad asking for here? The best of my days. Now, death isn't about fear of the meeting of God. Sometimes we fear that day. Death isn't about indifference to that day. I know some of us want to just ignore it. You know, a lot of times we talk about this, we're like, I don't want to think about it. I remember many years ago when I was young, at the masjid, they had asked me to go pick something up. And so I got in my car and I went all the way across town. And they said, it's really important, you have to pick it up. It needs to get picked up today and you have to bring it. So I went all the way, like 30 miles I drove. And then the guy hands me this bag, this like plastic bag. And there are these things in the plastic bag and he says, here you go. And so I'm curious, I'm like, why did these guys ask me? I go 30 miles, I have to drive all the way just to this, and they were insistent. So I kind of peeked in the bag, and I see these 2 white pieces of cloth wrapped in plastic. So I'm like, oh, I didn't even know what it was. Just totally oblivious. So I was like, okay, take in my car, drive all the way back to the masjid. So then I get to it wasn't this masjid, it was some other masjid. And at that masjid, there was a person at the front desk, and he used to greet people. So I come, and I say to him, I said, I said, Brother Muhammad, I said, they told me to go pick this up. I don't know who to give this to. Can I just leave it here? So he said, yeah, sure. So I left it on his desk. He was sitting behind a desk. And then he went about his business. And then I started to walk away. And he says, Kauthar, come. What is this? I said, I don't know. And so he opens it up. And he realizes it was a coffin, 2 coffins. So he looks at it and he goes, get this out of here. Get this out of here. Get it out of here. Okay, he began to panic. And I didn't know what was wrong. I was just 19. I was like, what did I do wrong? I said, Muhammad, what did I do wrong? He said, no, get it, go. Just take it. I said, well, is there something? I thought it was spilling or something on his desk. He said, just get it out of here. Get it off my desk. He was screaming at me. I said, okay. I took it and I put it next to me and I sat with it. And I scratched my head. I said, I don't get this. What's wrong? It's just 2 pieces of white cloth. Like, nobody told me what this is. I said, these just look like bed sheets or something. So I waited, and they told me the director was coming back. The director of the masjid was coming back after an hour. So I waited, I sat there. He came back. So I went into the director's office, and I said to him, here's the package they asked me to bring. And he said, oh, okay, just go ahead and put it there. I said, I brought it to the brother outside, and he got really upset at me. And the director just smiled at me. And then he said, I said, what is that? And he said, oh, this is the coffin for the people that died today. There's 2 people that died today. So I said, oh. I go, but I don't understand. Why did he get so upset? Right? This is, even if we push death out of our minds, this is going to happen. But the important thing is this, is that, and this shouldn't scare us, by the way. It shouldn't be like, oh my God, someone's talking about death. It shouldn't scare us at all. This is a meeting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's something that will happen. It's a decreed time. But it's something that it can be very peaceful and very beautiful, and that transition can be very good, or it can be very difficult. For someone who denied God, ignored, then it's extraction. Okay? So death is not about, what's going to happen specifically at that point. It's about what the condition of our soul is at that point. Where are we? How tied is the heart towards the things in this dunya? And so fasting teaches us that, right? Part of fasting is that, yes, we get hungry. There's a physiological response. The body gets tired. But as the body gets used to it, and as the soul starts paying attention to God, we slowly stop caring about the hunger. It eventually happens. The hunger doesn't bother us anymore. And the mind starts paying attention to that connection that we have with God. And that spirit, when the spirit begins to unite with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it starts detaching from this world. So that at the end of our life, when that time comes, that extraction will not be an extraction. It will be more of a yearning. Oh, I missed God. Now I finally get to be with Him. I was only with Him intermittent. I only had those sparks in Shahr Ramadan. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us that yearning, that step towards yearning towards Him. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow us and give us the tawfiq to pray to Him so that we get closer to Him. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this month to help all those who are sick, to help all those who are poor, to heal all those who have illness of the body, to heal all those who have illness of the heart. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this month to give us the love of Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to include us in the company of Sahib al-Zaman. Wa sallallahu ala Muhammad wa alihi tahirin.